The rejection. Humanity had always dreamed of joining the stars. They looked up at the night sky and wondered what lay beyond their small world. The Galactic Council, a group of powerful species who ruled the galaxy, had become the symbol of all that humanity wished to be a part of. Earth's leaders believed that if they could just be recognized, they could join the Council and take their rightful place among the great civilizations of the galaxy. However, when humanity made their first attempt to join, they were met with cold, hard rejection. The Council's decision was quick. They saw Earth's technology, and they saw the humans' past, wars, environmental destruction, and instability, and they declared humanity unworthy. They saw them as primitive, too unpredictable, too dangerous. The members of the Council believed that Earth's species was not yet ready for the galactic stage. To them, humanity's history was proof that they would never be able to coexist with the galaxy's advanced civilizations. For the first time, humanity's hopes were shattered. The rejection hit harder than anyone expected. People all over Earth watched as their representatives were turned away, their petitions ignored. But as the news spread, something unexpected began to happen. Instead of feeling defeated, humanity started to get angry. The Council had denied them a place at the table, but instead of staying silent, they began to speak louder, to push harder. They realized that the only way to move forward was to stop asking for permission. The leaders of Earth knew that they had a choice. They could either accept their fate and continue trying to please the Council, or they could forge their own path, separate from the galaxy that had dismissed them. And so, with one final glance at the stars, they made a decision that would change everything. In secret, Earth began working on a new plan, one that would not require approval from the Galactic Council. They started developing new technology, ships, weapons, and systems that could rival even the greatest civilizations the galaxy had ever seen. They had no intention of begging for a place in the Council. Instead, they would make their own mark, one that would make the galaxy take notice. Humanity's engineers and scientists worked in hidden labs, building prototypes and testing new designs. They didn't care about the Council's rules anymore. They didn't need their approval. Slowly, quietly, they began to build. Earth's first few warships were small, but they were packed with advanced technology. They were faster, more maneuverable, and more lethal than anything the galaxy had seen. But that was just the beginning. News of humanity's new fleet began to leak, but no one took it seriously at first. The other species in the galaxy dismissed it as nothing more than a desperate attempt from a rejected world to make a name for itself. The Council, too, paid little attention. After all, Earth had always been seen as insignificant, a backwater planet in the grand scheme of things. The Council had made their decision. Humanity was nothing more than a failure. But they were wrong. They underestimated Earth, and that was their greatest mistake. Over time, humanity's fleet grew. They built larger ships, stronger weapons, and more advanced technology. They did not stop. They did not retreat. They kept moving forward, driven by the pain of rejection and the burning desire to prove the galaxy wrong. Every failed attempt to join the Council only made them work harder. Every insult from the galaxy made them more determined. Earth was no longer a victim. They were becoming a force to be reckoned with. The humans did not just want to prove themselves. They wanted revenge. They wanted to show the Council that their decision to reject Earth was a grave mistake. And so, as their fleet grew stronger, they set their sights on something greater. They would not just survive in the galaxy. They would dominate it. They would build an empire. And they would do it all without the Council's approval. But the other species didn't know this yet. They still believed Earth was too weak, too divided, too small to be a serious threat. The Council's rejection had pushed humanity to their limits, but they hadn't seen the transformation happening on Earth. The humans were becoming more than just survivors. They were becoming the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Soon, humanity's fleet would be ready to take action. Soon, The galaxy would see what Earth was truly capable of. And when that day came, the Galactic Council would regret their decision. The humans would not be forgotten. They would not be ignored. And they would no longer be rejected. In the depths of space, humanity's ships were silently being prepared for the greatest journey of all, to prove that even the most rejected species could rise up and change the galaxy forever. The rejection by the Galactic Council left humanity in pain, but it also sparked a fire that couldn't be extinguished. The decision to exclude Earth from the greater galactic community was like a challenge thrown in the faces of all humans. They had been told they were not worthy. They had been told they were not ready for the stars. But instead of surrendering to their fate, humanity chose to fight. They chose to prove the galaxy wrong. Behind closed doors, the world's leaders and top scientists met in secret locations. The Earth had been cast aside. But now it was time to show that the galaxy was wrong to do so. Humanity didn't just want to survive. They wanted to thrive. They wanted to take their place as rulers of the stars. The first step was the creation of the Starforge Project, a massive, state-of-the-art military facility built in the deepest parts of the ocean, away from the eyes of the Council and the galaxy. It was here that humanity's greatest minds began constructing what would become the heart of their new empire: warships, weapons, and technology far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Every day, Earth's finest scientists and engineers worked tirelessly. They understood that they couldn't rely on the old ways. They had to innovate. They had to create something new, something unstoppable. At first, their design seemed small, almost insignificant compared to the great fleets of the Council. The first warships were built to be fast, stealthy, and capable of hitting hard and fast. These ships were far more advanced than anything humanity had previously created. They used hybrid energy sources that harnessed the power of the sun, giving them virtually unlimited fuel. Their weapon systems were powerful, designed to pierce through the toughest shields and hulls. But it wasn't just about technology. Humanity's most important asset was their drive, their passion. No one had told them what they could or couldn't do. And that freedom gave them the ability to push the boundaries of what was possible. For years, humanity built in secret. They didn't show the rest of the galaxy their progress. They didn't seek attention. Instead, they kept their heads down and worked harder, pushing the limits of their designs, perfecting their ships. They even began creating new kinds of technologies that no one had ever imagined. Shields that could block nearly any attack, stealth systems that rendered their ships invisible to even the most advanced scanners, and weapons that could obliterate entire fleets with a single strike. As the years passed, humanity's warships grew larger and more sophisticated. They learned from every mistake, from every failure. And with each passing day, the Starforge Project became more than just a military facility. It became the foundation for something much greater. An empire. An empire built not on promises or alliances, but on strength and fear. The galaxy had underestimated them, and now they would learn the hard way that humanity was not just a group of people who wanted a seat at the table. They were coming for the entire table. Humanity's leaders knew they couldn't just create a fleet. They needed a new way of thinking, a new way of ruling. The Galactic Council had been too complacent, too stuck in their ways. They had kept the galaxy in order by maintaining control over the powerful and the weak. But humanity didn't want to rule in the same old way. They didn't want to be like the Council. Instead, they began to form a new kind of government, one that would be as powerful as the fleet they were creating. A government based on strength and merit, not on ancient traditions or outdated rules. Humanity's leaders decided to break free of the Council's influence completely. They started to form alliances with smaller, lesser-known species who had long been oppressed by the Council. These species had been waiting for an opportunity to rise up, and they saw humanity's rise as the perfect chance. Slowly but surely, the foundations of the new empire began to take shape. But while they were building their empire, the rest of the galaxy was still unaware of what was happening. The Council was preoccupied with its own affairs, dealing with the politics of its many member worlds. The rejection of Earth was nothing more than a minor incident to them, a small, insignificant species they could easily ignore. The Council's leaders never thought for a moment that humanity would rise against them. But humanity wasn't just fighting for recognition anymore. They were fighting for dominance. And every day, they grew stronger. The first real sign of humanity's growing power came when the fleet's flagship, the Exodus, was completed. This massive ship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was a floating fortress, an indestructible behemoth with enough firepower to wipe out entire fleets in a matter of minutes. And it wasn't just about firepower. The Exodus was built with advanced artificial intelligence systems that allowed it to think and adapt in ways that no ship had ever done before. Its crew was handpicked from the best and brightest of humanity, trained for years to serve on the most advanced warship ever created. The Exodus was the symbol of humanity's new power. It wasn't just a ship. It was a message to the galaxy. And it was the beginning of something far greater. Humanity knew that the time for secrecy was over. They had built their fleet, forged their alliances, and created a government that would lead them into the stars. Now they would reveal themselves to the galaxy. They would show the galaxy that humanity had not been defeated. They would show them that Earth was no longer the rejected, helpless planet it once was. They would show them that Earth was now a force to be reckoned with. The Exodus would be the first step. The galaxy would soon know what humanity was truly capable of. And when the day came, the stars themselves would tremble. The galaxy remained unaware of the storm that was brewing. While the Council went about its business, oblivious to the threat rising from the edge of the galaxy, humanity was preparing to unleash its power. The Exodus was ready, its weapons charged, its systems perfected, and its crew poised for action. But it wasn't just about showing the galaxy what humanity had built. It was about sending a message that Earth would no longer be overlooked, no longer be cast aside. It was time to show the Council that rejecting Earth had been their greatest mistake. The Exodus, with its massive size and cutting-edge technology, was just the tip of the spear. The fleet humanity had built in secret was vast, composed of hundreds of ships, each with advanced weaponry and defenses. But the Exodus was the flagship, the most powerful ship humanity had ever built, and it would lead the charge. Its mission was clear: to demonstrate humanity's might and make the galaxy take notice. The first target was a remote system, a Council-controlled world known as Vega 9. This planet was far from the heart of the galaxy, home to little more than mining operations and research stations. It wasn't an important world by Council standards, but it held a strategic value. It was a choke point. Whoever controlled Vega 9 controlled access to a large portion of the galaxy. Humanity knew that taking this world would send a clear message to the Council. It wasn't about the planet. It was about proving their strength and making sure the galaxy understood that humanity was now a force to be reckoned with. As the fleet approached Vega 9, the Exodus led the charge, its dark silhouette cutting through the cold emptiness of space. The fleet's approach was silent, calculated, and deliberate. No one knew they were coming. The planet's defenses were outdated, barely a match for the advanced weaponry of humanity's new ships. Yet Vega 9's inhabitants had no idea that their world was about to be rocked by a force unlike anything they had ever faced. On the Exodus, the crew was ready. Captain Sarah West, a veteran of humanity's rise, stood at the helm. She had been part of the early Starforge project, helping to shape the future of humanity's military. She understood what was at stake. This wasn't just a battle. It was the beginning of a new era. An era where humanity controlled its own fate, and no one, not even the Council, could stand in their way. "Captain, we're in range," said Lieutenant Harper, her voice steady as she monitored the fleet's progress. "Prepare to engage," Captain West commanded, her voice unwavering. "Let the galaxy see what we can do." As the command was given, the Exodus fired its first salvo. The ship's primary cannons unleashed a powerful blast of energy, tearing through the defenses of Vega 9's outer stations. The force was so intense that the distant planet's atmosphere rippled from the shockwave. The soundless explosion, a stark reminder of humanity's power. The Council had no warning, no way to stop what was happening. The first wave of attacks came fast and relentless. The Exodus's firepower alone could have wiped out any fleet that dared to stand against it. But humanity's fleet wasn't relying on just one ship. 100 smaller, faster ships joined the attack, bombarding Vega 9's surface with precision strikes. The inhabitants of Vega 9, unprepared and unaware, barely had time to react. The mining colonies were wiped out in minutes. Research stations crumbled under the relentless assault. The planet's government, caught completely off guard, could do nothing but watch as their defenses were obliterated. Across the galaxy, the attack on Vega 9 was being monitored. The Council, now fully aware of humanity's presence, scrambled to respond, but it was already too late. Humanity had proven its power in a way that left no room for doubt. They had arrived, and they had come for more than just Vega 9. On the Exodus, Captain West watched as the planet's defenses were destroyed. The mission was a success, but this was just the beginning. Vega 9 had been a test, a statement. The real battle, the real fight for control of the galaxy, was yet to come. "Status report," Captain West demanded. "Vega 9 is neutralized, Captain. No resistance left," Lieutenant Harper confirmed. "Good," Captain West said, her eyes narrowing as she looked out into the vast expanse of space. "Now we take the next step." Humanity had just delivered its first strike. The galaxy had been put on notice. The Council would no longer have the luxury of ignoring Earth. Humanity was no longer the rejected, forgotten species. They were the new power in the galaxy. And they weren't going to stop until they had taken their place at the top. The Exodus turned away from Vega 9, its engines blazing as it sped toward its next target. The fleet followed, its ships moving with precision and purpose. There was no turning back now. The galaxy had been shown what humanity was capable of, and there would be no peace until they had achieved their goal. Humanity had cast off the chains of rejection. Now they would take what was rightfully theirs. The aftermath of Vega 9's destruction rippled across the galaxy like a shockwave. The galaxy's most powerful powers, especially those in the Galactic Council, were stunned. For centuries, they had seen Earth as a backwater, a place of no consequence. But now, the destruction of Vega 9 had shown them a new, terrifying reality. Humanity was capable of far more than they had imagined. In the heart of the Council's seat, the Zenithar, a massive city world floating in the depths of space, panic set in. The leaders of the galaxy, creatures from dozens of different species, sat in their high towers of power, surrounded by holograms, constantly shifting data and rapid communications. They watched the videos from Vega 9, the images of destruction, the evidence of humanity's power. "No, this cannot be happening," one of the council members, a tall, silver-skinned Zithar, muttered as he leaned forward in his chair, his sharp, glowing eyes glued to the screen. How could this Earth species, how could they have done this? Vega 9 was supposed to be safe. Another council member, a large, reptilian Vrex, hissed, his long tail flicking in agitation. "We've had surveillance in place for centuries. How did they manage to hide this fleet from us?" "They didn't," a voice interrupted. It was a calm, collected voice, a voice that belonged to the leader of the council, Chancellor Ildren, an ancient being of immeasurable wisdom and power. His figure appeared as a hologram in the center of the room. "We failed to see them. We underestimated Earth. And now, they have forced our hand." The room fell silent. Every council member knew what this meant. Earth wasn't just a minor player anymore. They had come into the galactic stage with fire and fury, and they were far more dangerous than any of them had realized. "Do we retaliate?" the Zithar asked nervously. "Retaliate?" The Chancellor's voice cut through the room like a blade. "No, we do not fight them. They are too powerful for that now. What we must do is find a way to contain them. We need to control this situation before it escalates further." "But they've already attacked Vega 9. The Vrex growled, his scales bristling. "What else do we need to know about their power? We cannot let them keep moving forward." "We will," the Chancellor replied, his tone grave, "but we must not act out of panic. We have the resources to deal with them, but only if we move carefully." The room was filled with a sense of urgency now. The Council was afraid. They knew that humanity had just begun. Vega 9 was only the first strike in what promised to be a long and devastating campaign. Humanity was no longer weak, isolated, or powerless. And if the Council didn't act fast, their galaxy-spanning influence would be shaken to its core. Meanwhile, far away from the Council's chambers, on the Exodus, Captain Sarah West and her crew were already preparing for the next move. The attack on Vega 9 had been a success, but it was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Humanity's fleet was massive, and the Exodus was just the flagship. Now, they were headed toward their next target, Herosar, an ancient space station built in the heart of Council space. It was the hub for communications, logistics, and trade in the galaxy, and if humanity took it, the Council would have no way of communicating with their forces across the galaxy. The plan was simple: destroy Herosar, cripple the Council's ability to react, and leave a lasting mark on the galaxy. As Captain West gazed at the holographic map of the galaxy, her crew moving in unison around her, she knew the stakes were rising. This wasn't just a battle for a planet, a space station, or a system. This was a battle for humanity's future, for their place in the galaxy. "Captain," Lieutenant Harper said as she entered the bridge, "the fleet is ready. We have secured the path to Herosar." "Good," Captain West replied. "Prepare the fleet. We make our move at once. The galaxy needs to understand that humanity does not back down." The Exodus rumbled as it powered up its engines, the darkened hull reflecting the stars around it. Humanity was no longer on the defensive. They had thrown the first punch, and now they were moving to land the second. The crew moved with precision. Every action, every order was part of a calculated plan. There was no room for error. The Council may have been panicking, but humanity's resolve was clear. They would not stop until their message was heard. The Exodus leaped into hyperspace, its fleet close behind, moving towards Herosar at full speed. As they sped through the void, Captain West couldn't shake the feeling that things were changing in ways no one could predict. The galaxy was a vast place, but humanity had just shown that they were no longer a weak, ignored species. They had the power to change the fate of the galaxy, and they were going to do it, one strike at a time. The stars seemed to blur as the Exodus and its fleet hurtled through hyperspace. The crew, hardened by their previous victories, moved with an almost mechanical precision, each member understanding their role in the mission. The mission to destroy Herosar was more than just a strike against a space station. It was a message, a declaration that humanity would no longer be controlled or ignored. Captain Sarah West stood at the helm of the Exodus, staring out at the swirling lights of hyperspace. The silence on the bridge was deafening as they neared their target. Herosar was just ahead, a massive space station nestled in the heart of Council space, brimming with life and activity. It was the beating heart of the Council's communication network, and its destruction would leave them vulnerable. "We're coming up on Herosar," Lieutenant Harper said, her voice breaking the stillness. "All systems are online and ready for the attack." "Good," Captain West replied, her gaze focused on the station growing larger before her. She could feel the weight of this moment, the enormity of what they were about to do. The Council had thought they could ignore humanity, but now they would learn that Earth's rejection was their biggest mistake. Humanity wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting to thrive, to take their place as one of the galaxy's most powerful forces. "Captain," Ensign Lee spoke up from his station, We're detecting multiple ships stationed around Herosar. Looks like the Council is taking precautions. West's brow furrowed. The Council wasn't going to let this happen without a fight. But it didn't matter. The Exodus and its fleet were ready. They had the element of surprise, and they wouldn't waste it. Prepare the fleet, West commanded. Once we're in range, launch everything we've got. This ends today. The tension was palpable as the Exodus and its fleet emerged from hyperspace just outside Herosar's outer defenses. The station loomed like a giant in space, its massive structure lined with energy shields and multiple defense systems. The Exodus's sensors picked up dozens of enemy ships, Council warships, heavily armed, and ready for a fight. But there was something the Council didn't know. Humanity's ships were faster, more advanced, and equipped with weapons the Council had never seen before. Opening fire, Lieutenant Harper said, her fingers flying over her console. A barrage of weapons fire erupted from the Exodus, the powerful cannons unleashing waves of energy that collided with the enemy ships. Explosions lit up the dark void of space as Council warships were ripped apart. The fleet didn't stop. Humanity's forces surged forward, taking down ships with ruthless efficiency. Herosar, the symbol of the Council's strength, now found itself under attack. The space station's defenses flared to life, energy shields flickering as they tried to block the incoming fire. But it was too late. The Exodus was already in range. "Captain, the shields are holding for now, but they're weakening," Ensign Lee reported. "Focus fire on their shield generators," Captain West ordered. "Take them down now." The fleet responded instantly, their coordinated attack turning Herosar's defenses into scrap. It didn't take long before the shields failed, leaving the station vulnerable. But as the Exodus continued its assault, something unexpected happened. A dark figure appeared on the station's comm screen. Chancellor Ildren. His ancient form, tall and imposing, appeared in full holographic display, his voice cold and commanding. "Humanity." The Chancellor's voice echoed throughout the bridge. "You do not know what you are starting. The Council will not let this go. You've made your mistakes, Ildren." Captain West's voice rang out across the comm. "You rejected us, underestimated us. Now we're taking what's ours. Do you think you can stop us?" Ildren's eyes narrowed. "The Council will strike back, and you will regret this." The message was clear. The Council was far from defeated. But Sarah West wasn't listening. She had a mission, and nothing would stand in her way. "Lock on target. Take out Herosar's command center," Captain West said, her tone resolute. "This ends now." The fleet moved in, and with a precise strike, the Exodus unleashed everything it had. The command center of Herosar erupted in a massive explosion, sending shockwaves through the station. The once proud symbol of the Council's authority was reduced to a burning hulk, its core systems failing as it spun out of control. "Direct hit on the command center, Captain," Lieutenant Harper reported, her voice full of satisfaction. "Herosar is down. The Council will be scrambling to recover from this." The screen flickered for a moment as the Council's holographic presence flickered and vanished, leaving behind only the quiet hum of the bridge. The attack had been a success. Herosar was destroyed, and with it, the Council's grip on the galaxy had weakened. But Sarah West knew this was only the beginning. The Council would retaliate. They had no choice. But humanity had sent a message, one that the galaxy would never forget. They had been cast aside, shunned by the Council, but now, humanity stood at the top, and the stars were theirs to conquer. The Exodus and its fleet began to move toward the next phase of the mission. They would continue to push forward, striking where it hurt the most. The galaxy had underestimated Earth once, and now it was paying the price. The war had just begun, and humanity's rise was unstoppable. The Exodus and its fleet had dealt a devastating blow to the Council, but the war was far from over. With Herosar destroyed, the Council was left reeling. However, they were not a race to be underestimated. They had resources, allies, and technology that humanity could not yet fully comprehend. The galaxy was about to witness the fury of the Council's retaliation. As the fleet moved further into the Council's territory, Captain Sarah West stood at the command center of the Exodus, her hands clenched tightly behind her back. The atmosphere was tense. They had won a major victory, but Sarah knew better than anyone that the hardest battles were yet to come. "Captain, we've detected multiple warships emerging from hyperspace." Ensign Lee's voice broke the silence, his face a mask of concentration. "They're Council ships, large, heavily armed. It looks like they've mobilized their entire fleet." Sarah's eyes narrowed as the data streamed across the screen. There were dozens of enemy ships, forming a line of defense across the sector. The Council was no longer taking chances. They were mobilizing everything they had to crush humanity's uprising before it could spread further. "Send word to the fleet. Prepare for engagement," Captain West ordered, her voice calm but firm. She wasn't about to show any signs of fear, even if the odds were now stacked against them. The Exodus rumbled as it broke through the nebula clouds, revealing the incoming Council fleet. The enemy ships were massive, dwarfing humanity's ships in sheer size and firepower. But there was something the Council didn't know. Humanity's ships, though smaller, were faster, more agile, and equipped with weapons that the Council had never faced. They had learned from their mistakes and adapted quickly, and now they were about to show the galaxy just how dangerous they had become. The battle began almost immediately. Waves of enemy ships fired upon the Exodus and its fleet, but the human ships were too quick, dodging and weaving between laser blasts and missiles. The hum of the engines was constant as the fleet fought with deadly precision, every shot fired with purpose, every movement calculated. "Shields are holding, Captain," Lieutenant Harper called out, "but they're pushing us back. We need to find an opening, or we'll be overwhelmed." Captain West's gaze never left the screen, her mind working at lightning speed. The Council was using their numbers to their advantage, surrounding them on all sides. But that's exactly what they wanted. Humanity's ships were designed to fight like wolves, fast, relentless, and deadly when they had the right opening. "We'll break through their lines," Sarah said, her voice low but resolute. "Harper, target their flagship. If we can take that down, the rest of their fleet will scatter." Harper nodded and began targeting the largest Council ship. It was a formidable warship, heavily armored and bristling with weapons. It was the heart of the enemy fleet, and if it fell, the Council would be forced to retreat. The Exodus moved in, its weapons firing relentlessly, striking the flagship with deadly accuracy. The enemy ship shuddered with each hit, but it didn't fall. The battle continued to rage, explosions lighting up the dark expanse of space as both fleets clashed with terrifying intensity. Suddenly, there was a sharp shockwave that rattled the Exodus. The hull groaned under the pressure, and alarms began blaring. "Hull integrity at 70%, Captain," Ensign Lee shouted. "We can't take much more of this," Harper said, gritting her teeth as she worked the controls. "Their flagship is tough, but we got to break through." "I've got an idea, Captain." "What do you need, Lieutenant?" Sarah asked, keeping her voice steady. "Prepare to launch a direct assault," Harper said. "If we can get close enough, I can disable their weapons systems with a full power surge. It'll give us a chance to take them down." The plan was risky. Flying straight into the heart of the enemy fleet was suicidal. But the Exodus had come this far by taking risks, and Sarah knew they didn't have many options left. "Do it," she ordered, her voice firm. The Exodus surged forward, its engines blazing as it sliced through the enemy ships. The fleet followed, taking down smaller Council ships that tried to intercept them. It was a chaotic, brutal assault, but they managed to get close enough to the flagship. "Power surge initiating," Harper called out as the Exodus shuddered. The power systems flared, pushing the ship to its limits. For a moment, everything seemed to hang in the balance. Then, with a massive explosion of energy, the flagship's weapon systems were disabled, and it began to drift helplessly in space. The Council fleet's formation began to break down as they scrambled to adapt to the sudden shift in power. "Now's our chance," Sarah shouted. "All ships, target the flagship. Finish this." The Exodus and its fleet launched everything they had. Weapons fire, missiles, and energy blasts rained down on the flagship, tearing it apart piece by piece. The once proud warship, the symbol of the Council's strength, crumbled under the onslaught, its core exploding in a brilliant display of light. As the flagship fell, the rest of the Council fleet began to scatter, their lines breaking apart as they retreated. The human fleet, battered but victorious, stood tall against the chaos, their spirits unbroken. Captain Sarah West stood at the command center, watching the wreckage of the battle unfold before her. The Council had underestimated them. Again, humanity had struck a powerful blow, but they weren't finished. They had shown the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with. The Council would regroup. They would send more ships. But humanity was ready. As the Exodus turned its engines toward the next phase of their mission, Sarah couldn't help but feel a surge of hope. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. Humanity had been rejected. But now, they were the ones in control. After the victory against the Council, humanity's rise was inevitable. The Council had underestimated Earth's strength and resolve, and now, with their fleet shattered and their power diminished, the galaxy was beginning to see a new order emerging. Captain Sarah West stood on the bridge of the Exodus, her gaze fixed on the starry expanse outside. The damage from the battle still lingered, but the morale among the crew was higher than ever. They had done the impossible. They had not only survived, but had struck back with such force that the Council now saw them as a legitimate threat. "The Council is in full retreat," Ensign Lee reported. "They pulled back from the sector, but we've detected several smaller fleets assembling at the edges of their territory." Sarah nodded, her mind racing. The Council was regrouping, but they weren't ready to surrender. It was only a matter of time before they attempted another counterattack. Humanity had to strike fast and decisively before the Council could fully recover. "We need to hit them where it hurts," Sarah said, turning toward her officers. "We'll go deeper into Council space. We'll take their most vital sectors and show them that humanity is no longer a race to be ignored." Her voice was filled with resolve. She had been chosen as the symbol of this new human empire, a leader among the stars. But she knew this wasn't just about her. It was about everyone who had fought, bled, and believed in the dream of a stronger, independent humanity. "Prepare for the next phase of the mission," she continued. "We will carve out our place in this galaxy, and no one will ever forget the price of rejecting humanity." The Exodus and its fleet plunged forward, deep into the heart of Council space. They had no intention of turning back now. Each system they passed, each colony they encountered, felt the weight of humanity's presence. They weren't invaders, but they weren't guests either. They were conquerors, rulers of their own destiny. Humanity had forged an empire, not through brute force, but through their unwavering will and ability to outthink, outfight, and outlast their enemies. They took control of strategic sectors, with Earth's economy and military power growing exponentially. Earth's once small fleet had now become a dominant force, rivaling anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Exodus was at the forefront, leading the charge. As Sarah stood on the bridge, overseeing humanity's territorial expansion, she felt the weight of the galaxy shifting beneath her. The Council had thought they could erase humanity, cast them aside like an insignificant race. But now, it was clear, humanity had no intention of being forgotten. They had learned to fight back, and they had created an empire that was built to last. And if the Council or anyone else had doubts, they would soon learn that the cost of underestimating humanity was far greater than they could ever imagine. Months passed, and humanity's empire continued to grow. The Council, now in a weakened state, tried to recover, but their efforts were futile. Humanity controlled trade routes, mining systems, and vital resources. The galaxy began to shift. Species that once viewed Earth as insignificant were now rushing to ally themselves with the new power rising across the stars. The human empire was becoming an undeniable force, and its leaders, like Captain Sarah West, were regarded as heroes, legends in the making. The most significant part of humanity's rise, however, was the message they sent to the rest of the galaxy. The message wasn't just about strength or power. It was about defiance, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of Earth's people. They had been cast aside, but instead of fading into nothingness, humanity had built an empire that would stand as a testament to their strength. The galaxy would never be the same. And with every passing day, humanity's influence spread further and further. The stars, once indifferent to Earth's existence, were now their domain. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and that, as history would soon show, was their greatest mistake.